Ladies and gentlemen, this is Julien Mason from Adrenaline Combatives, and I'm with Marko Novakovic for the second time, part two. How you doing, bro?
I'm good.
Nice one. So you were stuck in the traffic.
Yes.
How's the traffic not too bad over there, like in Croatia? The people drive like crazy there as well, yeah?
Yeah, but there's only 4 million of us, so traffic is not that bad.
Okay. Nice. So it's not as bad as like places like England or
Yeah.
Good. So tell me what, Marko, I don't know, I got a info on my side that your smoker is going to disappear eventually. Or if you're going to give us a quick introduction about who you are, man, please.
Sure. So my name is Marko Novakovic. In 2 days I will be 37. Well, sorry, 37. And I've been a lifelong martial artist. I've been in martial arts for over now 20 years. I've started with judo. After junior judo training, I fucked up my arm. I moved into kickboxing. I pursued kickboxing throughout my teens. I competed in amateur fighting in kickboxing, so K1 style of rules and low kick. And after that, I basically started what you would call like more combative training. So Filipino martial arts, Japanese martial arts, and I've now been training jiu-jitsu for almost over 6 years. I'm a purple belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, specializing mostly now in no gi. I don't do the gi. I haven't done it like in 2 years now, maybe less. But yeah, that's in a nutshell. And I also compete still. I compete in grappling. I have a tournament in 3 days. This is why I look all everything is sunken in, because I had to cut weight, and I still have to cut weight for Sunday to be at 84 kg for tournament. Yeah.
It's not always easy cutting weight. I mean, I remember I had to from like 93 kilos to 87. No, was it? Sorry, 82 kilos, like more than 10 kilos in like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You go to sauna.
So
to sweat,
yeah.
That's a good stuff. Like
it's I've cut from so I was at 94, like you, 94, 95. First tournament I cut to 88, 87, and that wasn't bad, but everyone was bigger than me. Then I cut to 85. I won gold in a tournament in my division, and now I'm going for National Croatian Grappling Championship, which is all grappling styles in Croatia are invited. It's a hybrid rule. Everything is legal, from leg locks, slams, takedowns, and everything. But I have to make 84 kg, and it's becoming a problem because I'm older. I have kids. I want to eat normal food, and they'll have normal dinner. I have to fucking eat chicken and rice, or I'm now in a caloric deficit, so I'm sunken in. Everything is because I don't want to do the water weight cutting. I don't want to do the sauna, the sweating out. I want to drop it by caloric restriction because I feel better when I cut water weight, when it's like sauna and stuff like that, then I feel fucked up.
But it's difficult when you cut weight like this as well, because you end up not eating as many carbs, you take all the sugar, and you end up not having as many carbs. And that, I find that will impact my training. You have to train hard for the fight camp, and you don't have as many carbs. It kind of plays on your energy, so you're even more tired.
Yep. Yeah. No. You're completely right. But for me, it's like I'll make weight at let's say 10 o'clock in the morning, or 9 o'clock, and tournament starts at 11. So I'll eat a bunch of sugar. I'll eat, I'll get up my glycogen and everything. But yeah, it sucks because last 2 weeks I've been training on a caloric deficit. Like I push myself and everything. Again, jiu-jitsu is different because there's no punches to the head. But still, it's very physically exerting. I lose like 3 kilos of just water per training. Like when we spar, I step on the scales. I'm two kilos lighter than before training, just from sweating out.
If you're lucky, you do the weight in one day before. Sometimes when I was fighting, that I was doing the weight in one day before in the morning. I was like, yes, I'm gonna eat as much as I can on the day, and then the next day, I don't eat anything, just like a little very small breakfast, and you feel good. But yeah.
The problem is when you have to travel. Like I have to travel to Zagreb. When tournaments are in Split, then it's not a problem where I live because I can weigh in the day before. But a lot of jiu-jitsu tournaments don't allow weigh-ins the day before. You have to weigh in 2 hours before you fight.
Yeah.
So like you have to fucking be miserable until the weigh-ins. But yeah, it is what it is. Like I'm just doing this. I'm competing not for. I'm competing because I have ego. I need to feed it. But I'm also competing because it's been 6 months since we opened up our jiu-jitsu school, and I want to show the students that competition is great. It builds character, it builds discipline, and what better way for me to show them than by leading, than by me competing. Like you can see me compete, you can see the other coach, Ivo, Zach. We'll all be competing, and we're pretty much old for jiu-jitsu. Like we're 37, 43. So like but I just want to inspire them so that they can go and compete.
That is very good mindset, bro. It's like the best stress test. When we competitive in this about pressure test or stress test, which is we'll speak about this. This is different. But I always say to people, a very good stress test is put your gloves on and have a hard sparring session or a hard bowling session, and that plays pretty much the same way. It will give you a level of intensity that you cannot if you do like scenario training like we do in combatives. It depends who you train with. People are very good at building scenarios, and we make it very, very close to the real thing. But you will never get that level of intensity as if you get in the cage or you get on the ring.
Yeah.
And now, yes, there's the rules, but you're really going for each other. You're really trying to take each other out. You're really trying to.
I was just talking to this while we were driving back home. I was just talking to my friend, the other coach, who's a black belt. I told him they're like you can come to the gym and spar, but sparring is different. When you go into a competition where there is another person that is willing to harm you to win, that also wants to win, it's a the adrenaline spike you get. Like it doesn't even have to be an MMA match. It can be a judo match. It can be like when the other person is trying to hurt you to win, and will do everything that he has at his disposal. It's a different type of feeling than sparring with your friends, especially if you're fighting someone that you don't know. So it's not like you have a relationship with them. I always say like it's the I've unfortunately I fought in like I had street fights. I fought in the street, and the adrenaline is nowhere as near as when I had to step into the ring or step onto the mats. Like I had more adrenaline and fear going into competition than in an actual street fight. And I had a gun to my head. I had a knife and everything. And I always tell people like there's a, because everyone's looking, there's your family, there's your friend. Imagine you get knocked out in the fucking first minute. Oh my God. Everyone's recording with phones. Now you're laughing. So like there's such a, there's a way bigger pressure on you, way much pressure on you than, in an actual self-defense situation.
It's true. Because there is so many things going through your head. Like you say, it's not only about winning. It's about not looking like a dickhead in front of everyone. Not knowing whether all your training, all your hard work in the fight camp is going to pay off. And mindset-wise, I don't know you, but do you know who you're going to fight for?
No.
So you don't get the chance to look at
No.
the technique and
Like
stuff. No?
I can see who's in my bracket, but I don't know who we're gonna pair because they pair up the brackets
Yeah.
5 minutes before competition starts.
Right.
So the
Okay.
computer will randomly
Yeah.
choose us, and then we fight like pyramid until you win.
I find it helps. I find it helps because that way in your head you're like, it doesn't matter what they have in front of me. I'm not going to think about what they're going to do to me. I'm going to think about what I'm going to do to them.
Yeah.
So the mindset is kind of set on the offensive rather than the defensive.
Yes, for me it's a little bit different. Like I always think defensively. So when I go into a competition, I'll usually let someone try to grab me first, and then when they grab, I'll see the strength and everything. I'll counter grab, and I'll be like, okay, this guy is weaker than me, or his wrestling is bad. But like it can go both ways. Like you can be super aggressive, take the initiative, and just win. The problem is when you're older, you can't impose your will on 20-year-olds.
Yeah.
So I am the oldest one in my bracket. The youngest one, the oldest one after me. I'm 10 years older than the oldest guy in the whole bracket. So there's a difference. Like I cannot match their speed, so I have to be more tactical. I have to be more witty. You have to use more tactics and strategy than just relying like on speed and strength, because I have speed and strength when I'm fighting people my age, but I don't have it when I'm fighting 20-year-olds. They're just faster than me. It is what it is. It sucks, but
I was having that chat with a good friend of mine who's one of the best boxing and MMA coaches that I know here in the area. Is Dave Breed. If you're hearing,
I know David. Yeah.
David Breed, great coach. And he was saying to me, there is three types of fighters that you can face, and you have to learn to be all three, to be good at all three approach. The first one is offensive. So you have the offensive fighter, like Mike Tyson. He was an offensive fighter. Then you have the defensive fighter, like Mayweather. Yeah. And then you have the counter-offensive fighter.
Yeah.
Like
counter puncher.
Vasyl Lomachenko, for example,
Yes.
is a counter-offensive fighter. Or Usyk,
Yeah, Usyk. Yeah.
So these three approaches, like a lot of people are just very aggressive. They're always on the offensive, and they're good at it. Look at Tyson; was great at it. But then I think the most difficult fighter to deal with is the counter-offensive, because the counter-offensive knows how to be on the defensive and on the offensive, and he'll be on the offensive straight out of the defensive. So, like you say, he will wait. He will look at what you're doing. He will test you, and then when you make a mistake, bang, that's it.
Yeah.
So it's a good way. It's a good way of.
Yeah. It's just to be an aggressive fighter, to be like a Tyson, you have to be genetically gifted.
Yeah.
And like you have to be. I always say this, like if for the listeners, for the guys in the chat, like I'll bring it more closely, because if you're not into grappling or jiu-jitsu, you won't know the comparison. But I always use a great example is Senchai and Buaka, because they fought now in bare knuckle.
You watch the fight.
Two way different styles of fighting. Buakav is forward, everything is power, everything was strong with power. Typical power puncher, power kicker. Senchai, because he's smaller, doesn't have the attributes as Buakav has physically. He's much more of a elusive fighter. He lures you in, he sets you up.
He's a counter-offensive.
Yeah, but that takes high fight IQ. You have to have high fight IQ to fight like Senchai. Like it's not easy, but again, it's mostly reps, drills, and strategy. To fight like Buakav, to fight like Mike Tyson, to fight like Ramon Deckers, you have to be genetically gifted for that style of fight. Like you have to, your body has to be developed for generating maximum power with every shot, and that's not all people have that. Sadly, it is what it is.
It's a mindset thing as well. Look at the three people you mentioned, Tyson, Walkout, Ramon Deckard, look at them in life. They're very straightforward people. They're people that move forward. I mean, they're not waiting, they're not retreating, they're just going forward. It takes a certain mentality.
It does. It does. I think because your physicalities will manifest into your, like I always say, when I was younger, I thought like I could deliver power with strikes until I hit people and they didn't go down. And then I was like, oh, I'm not that great of a power puncher. So I have to throw volume instead of, because I always wanted to emulate how Ramon Deckers is one of my favorite kickboxers of all time, but I could never emulate how he fights. My hips are just not, I don't know, my nervous system or something is like, I cannot move and generate power as he does. So I had to fight a different style of fighting, more counter striking, more exploding than going out. I couldn't be just like punch through the other man. Bap, 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 bap. I just couldn't do it. Like even though a lot of us want to do it, you just have to be aware that your body, especially as you get older, will not be able to sustain what you think that you can do in a stand-up concept. Grappling is very different because you can do grappling even older. Striking, not so much.
You have to find what works for you.
Yes.
You know this. You spoke about Ramon Deckard. I don't know if you know about. Jérôme.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
This guy, one of my favorite K1 guy as well. Very similar as well in terms of mindset, forward going, very powerful puncher and kicker.
Yes. What's Ernesto Just? Same. Yeah.
These are.
I think it's also the style. The Dutch have a very forward, aggressive style of fighting. Hands set up the legs. And it's. I mean, it works. It definitely works.
I was watching. Like last week, I watched a lot of fighters, old school fighters. I like to watch the fight to observe and analyze what I can use for myself. And I was watching last month, a couple of weeks ago, Masson, all these old bank press fights. There's so much things to learn there. And what I love about it is at the beginning, he's not a good grappler, and he says it himself.
Yeah.
He wasn't a good grappler, he was a good striker. But you can see as his fights go along, you can see how he's improving. And he's even saying, oh, that was a mistake, I should have done this, I should have done that. And then you see him improving his grappling techniques. And it makes it easy. I think there's so many good things to take from basketball fights by observing.
Oh, for sure. But Bas is also one of those guys like that represents that Dutch style of striking. Everything that Bas throws with 100%. Like when I watched all of Bas's fights in Pancration when he fought so this was hybrid MMA before UFC. Where you can there were weird rules like you can grab the ropes and everything, but and you hit with open palms.
That's what I like. I find this very interesting, and I'm exploring this right now.
It's just because of the blood. The Japanese put that rule because of blood. Because when you punch with knuckles, you bloody up. When you strike like this, there's no blood, and they wanted to Pancrase was they wanted to keep it clean, but allow you could elbow, you could knee. On the ground, if you were caught in a submission and you grabbed the ropes, the guy had to let it. So it was like a hybrid between MMA and like American wrestling, but like WWE wrestling, not real wrestling, like fake wrestling.
Do you know what I like about these Pancrase fights is the open-handed striking. It proves that you can be very efficient striking with your open hands. With palm. How many times you see us throwing palm strikes? Knocking people out. It looks good, but it's not.
So, again, completely correct. Like he proved that open-handed strikes work, but again, how Boss would throw them is different than how a lot of guys show. Like he would
Yeah.
strike with this,
Yes.
which is different than striking with like a slap. Like he
Yeah.
would cock his hand back and he would hit with this.
He said with the bone of the wrist.
Yes, yeah,
Right.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's if you throw a slap or a punch, like this is what you need to make impact with. But a lot of people,
Yeah.
if you try to palm strike somebody with your fingers, you're gonna break
Yeah.
your.
Yeah, yeah, no, for sure. But again, Boss was. I heard him talk on a podcast. He said at that time when he was fighting Pancrase, he said a day I would do 100 pull-ups and like 500 push-ups. He said I would do one. Like Boss was a physical specimen. Like they found that he has a high testosterone, natural high testosterone level, like through the roof. So when people say, "Oh, Boss strike like this," you should like Boss is one of a kind. Like Boss would throw everything with, and he was a big guy. He was a muscular guy. He wasn't a small, weak, guy. So there's definitely a debate. Like, should you punch or should you? And I think you should do both. Like, if you know how to punch with a closed fist, great. In standing, this is just my philosophy. In standing, if it's anything straight, I punch with closed fists. If I'm throwing hooks or anything, I'll throw them open-handed because they're longer. On the ground, if I'm on top, I always use open-handed strikes. Just because once we did sparring, I was in full mount. I cocked back my arm. I went to punch. He moved his head, and I punched into the ground with a closed fist. Horrible, like my wrist bent from the strike. And because he moved, and as I was going forward, all of my body weight landed. And from that day on, I strike from mount, palm strikes to make them turn. Once they turn, sink in the choke or continue slapping them, whatever the case may be. But I think you should learn both. Fists are awesome if you know how to punch, but also empty hands are also good. Yeah,
I do agree with you 100%. I think that there's a lot of people that are either one or the other. There's a lot of people that are no, you just need to open-handed strikes, or you just need to punch like boxers that used to punch. And I mean, I've been boxing for years, and I'm used to punch, but I have punched successfully. But I have also broke my hand punching forehead. You know what I mean? Top of the head. So that made me think, that made me start to train both ways. And like you, the way that I see it, if I'm really stressed with the adrenaline and I want to strike the head, I'll strike open hand. If I want to strike a body shot, I will close my hand.
Of course, yeah.
I'll keep my palms, I'll keep it open. Less risk to damage your fingers.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely less risk of injuring your hand, which at the end of the day is a reality when you spar or fight. It doesn't matter. Like hand injuries are one of the most occurring injuries in professional fighting. Like boxers regularly break their arms. And I'm sorry, break their hands. MMA fighters, the same thing. Like after a fight, even now, like if you watch the bare knuckle fight with the Senchai versus Buakav, but Senchai broke his arm. Like they ended up in the hospital. He didn't break this; he broke this. He landed somewhere on the knuckle and his
I've seen this. You see, now that we're in the topic of punching or open-handed strike or punching, look at, there's some very good bare knuckle boxers out there. Unfortunately, I think that bare knuckle boxing should be more popular than it is. It's not as popular. There's some very, very good fighters. I have actually a few friends that do bare knuckle boxing, and they're some of the strongest people out there. These guys, they know how to punch.
for sure.
They change the way that they punch. And that's I was having this conversation with a friend of mine like a couple of years ago, and that's when I started to adapt the way that I punch, and I started to punch pads without gloves or putting the MMA gloves, because when you punch with the boxing glove, it's different. It's different because you can allow yourself to do more things because you got the big gloves on.
Yeah. For definitely. Just give me a second, Julian. Just give
No
me a second.
problem.
Let just switch the light. Okay.
No problems, bro.
Sorry.
No problems, man.
Because I'll switch into the car where it's better.
Are you going in the car?
Yeah. Because everyone's walking around, and I don't want them to disturb. Just a second.
No problem, bro. Take your time.
Yeah.
Nice. So, you know, as I was saying, basically, when you speak with the guys that are very used to, to fight without the glove, so like left-way fighters or bare knuckle boxers, and we change kind of the way that we punch. So it's kind of turning the hand and pointing the knuckles out instead of being like this, kind of turning the hand that way, less risk of injury, and it works. But you need to how do you say that? Condition your knuckles.
Condition, yeah. No, definitely. We call this, like in the day, Fyodor would throw punches like this. Fyodor would throw overhands like this.
Yes.
Like it's like we call them casting punches, where you basically cast the punch over. But yeah, you hit with this part, not with the front part of the knuckles. Yeah.
Do you know it was Tommy Carruthers? You know Tommy Carruthers?
Yeah. The JKD. Yeah.
So I'm more like GTO. It's like it's more like the Ted Wong lineage. He was saying to me, if you punch somebody with a bare fist, aim for the throat.
Yeah.
Because if you aim for the throat, and the guy is always, if they know how to fight, their chin is going to be tucked to the chest.
Exactly.
If you aim for the throat, you're going to go right in.
Into the chin, yeah.
But a lot of people make the mistake, and I was making that mistake as well, to aim for this
part,
this triangle here. And this is not good, because the mouth is full of razor blades, full of teeth. The nose, even if you break the nose and you have a serious guy, it's not going to stop him.
For sure.
And here you're gonna hurt your hand, you're gonna hurt your hand. In here you're gonna hurt your hand. So it's really this little part here that you're aiming for.
Yeah, here or on the side.
Yeah, the line of the jaw.
Yeah, the line of the jaw. Yeah. Like that makes sense. That's a good analogy. Like aim for the throat.
For the throat,
gonna be down. Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
So I'm gonna. I got some questions for you. Just one thing I wanted to speak about. You know, when we speak about the hands and the good things about striking open-handed, is that in many instances the hands are the mood tools. So you need your hands to drive. What if you need to drive your family really fast, like from a dangerous situation, or you need to access a weapon, or
weapons? Yeah.
You know, if your hands are broken, that's it. So you can't really fight to your full capacity.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. That makes sense. I think of it in a similar fashion. Not so much about driving, but like if you need to operate tools with your hands and your hands are fucked up, then you're gonna have a problem.
So maybe that's where it's a good idea to train your non-dominant side as well.
Yeah. Probably. I never like I always have a saying like if you whatever your dominant side is, trade that the most. I always say have one good side and train it to 100%. Don't split like between I'm now gonna start learning to fight with my left hand with a knife or something. I always say, but there I understand the point of view where they say, yeah, what if you hurt your hand? What if you injure your hand? What if you get wounded? I understand that aspect of it. And if you were a soldier, and if this was more of like that scenario, I fully get it. But if we're civilian, if we're talking like civilian stuff, then, you know.
That's something that Lee Morrison was talking about a lot, saying, right, check your left. If your left is not decent enough to have knockout power and good accuracy, then we were working 3-1. You know, three left, three repetition left, and one right. Three left, one right. 3-1 ratio. Bring the non-dominant side level higher. You will never have uh, non-dominant side as good as your dominant side because it's just, you're using your dominant side all the time to eat, to write, to do things. But if you train, you can bring it to a decent level.
I'll challenge Lee Morrison's theory and thesis on this. This has been told by my old judo coach, and I told him, should I learn how to fight left foot forward and right foot forward? He says, no, pick one guard. What's your dominant leg? I'm like, it's my left because of kickboxing. He says, then you make the enemy stand in your type of guard. He said, you will force your guard upon the enemy and you will make him fight how you fight. Don't let him dictate that if he fights left now, you have to mirror that. He said, that's bullshit. Like you will need 3 lives to get good at fighting left-handed, right-handed, everything. I agree. Get decent. Have some sort of mobility with your non-dominant hand. But I always believe that the shit that you should train the hardest should be the shit that you're already good at, like the side that you're already good at. Yeah. So it's like, because I have the same shit in grappling. In grappling, people that haven't boxed or did any type of striking art, their right side, what they call the orthodox guard, is right foot forward, which is opposite in striking arts. In striking arts, if you're right-handed, you stand left foot forward. And I tried so much to learn how to wrestle, to stand up grapple from my right dominant side, and I was like, this is retarded. Like, I'm never gonna learn this. I fight from this side. I'll make everyone, fear me, standing left-sided, then fucking changing, and then I fuck myself over. I have this side, and I work this side. So yeah. So it's a counter argument, although I understand his point of view. I understand, like, you're developing your weaker side through more repetitions, and it's a.
So look, for example, I mean, I look at when I started to train martial art, because I'm right-handed. So I started with the normal orthodox stance, left foot forward, money shot at the back, lead hand, just to play, make clean opening and go for the money shot. But then after the training, when I started to train the sword, the various sword art, and then I went to train with Tommy Carruthers, and I went on to work a lot of southpaw.
Yep.
And I eventually, at some point, I started to becoming okay and good at it. And even at some point, I was doing so much southpaw that I was feeling better in the southpaw than I was in my orthodox stance. And then I had to rebalance it. Well, I think it's good because you're a knife fighter yourself, so with the sword as well. So you understand the importance of being able.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, if you threw me in weapon-based fighting is very different, because you have to fight with your front weapon side forward, and you have to know how to protect your weapon and fight with the weapon in the back. But that's different. If I threw you now in the cage and you were fighting against someone that's decent, I guarantee you would fight orthodox, because your neuron pathways are wired for this. Like, unless you have been brought up from the beginning as a JKD guy, I guarantee you that if I now threw you in the cage and you had to fight for your life, you would stand in orthodox. I guarantee you that you would stand money, the power side in the back, and the weak side in the front.
To be honest with you, Marko, and there's a lot of people, if they're watching, they're gonna agree with this. Is that for a long time, when I had to fight orthodox, I was switching southpaw, and everybody said, "What the fuck you doing, Julien? Just go back to orthodox." Because for me, I don't know, it feels natural, even though I'm right-handed. So
no, I agree with you, and I agree in the sense that it's like I do the same thing when I spar. I'll start switching left, right, but when you get hit, you
Yeah.
revert to the most basic
Most
foundations of,
basic,
and
yeah.
that's the right side of, like, I agree with you. Like, you'll see this with Wonderboy Thompson. Wonderboy Thompson comes from a karate background. He
Yeah.
constantly switches until he gets fucking punched. Then all of a sudden he fights like a karate guy, like
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
forward, boom,
Goes
boom,
back
jabbing
to
this.
the karate game.
Yeah. You know, getting the leg darting out. Then all of a sudden he reverts to the basic, most, the thing that he practiced most.
Yeah.
Basically that's what that is. And the older you get, it's harder to acquire um, new skills. Like, you can learn them, but generally under pressure you'll start reverting to that old shit.
Yeah.
That what they call it, the bread and butter.
Yeah.
That's what the
Yeah.
Americans say. Yeah.
Jeff Thompson calls it the sniper option. Like, what's you're the best at? Like,
Yeah.
the bread and
Yeah.
butter.
Makes sense. Yeah.
What do you think about? There is a really good fighter that I like very much. It's John Jones.
Yeah.
Did you see his technique is so fluid. It's like it's difficult to read him. You don't even know what he's going to do. Although he's got some things that he likes to use, like the oblique kick, the front kick to the knee and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But the guy can fight both stands, and like the same, very fluid.
Yeah, but a lot of people don't know John Jones was a very high level wrestler
Yeah,
before MMA.
yeah.
So that plays a big part of it. I would say that a lot of like strikers that came from a traditional background of like boxing and kickboxing, when they transition to MMA, they're very handicapped because they've learned to fight just not just one-sided, but like in a specific way. MMA, like when you start training it, like you have so many arts that you have to learn, and MMA is an art in itself. Don't get me wrong. Like, no one trains separately. Jiu-jitsu, kickboxing. That, like, that era is over. Now you train purely MMA.
Together,
But
yeah.
guys that start MMA from scratch, like their base art, not boxing or kickboxing, have a greater advantage because they are used to moving in different planes and ways than a traditional kickboxer. And even though you can learn grappling, you can learn, if you haven't learned it from the base, from the start, it's gonna be super, like, I'm prime example of that. Like, a lot of my takedowns in my grappling game they all come from upright positions,
Okay.
basically from like almost judo throws, grapple hold, Roman throw, because I'm too fucking old to shoot on double legs and single legs, and I never had the pedigree of wrestling when I was younger for me to that they becomes like something that's like so instinctual and natural for you. Like, I have to think about it, even though I drill it a shit ton. It still doesn't come out in sparring, just because I don't have the physical attributes, and I didn't learn that from an early age. But these new kids that are coming up in MMA, that are training MMA as their base art, you see them fighting left, right, transitioning from striking into takedowns, cage control, a whole different fucking wrestling up from the ground up when you fall down. Like, it's a whole different it's a whole different game. Like, MMA has become truly an art in itself. It's not like it's not like separate arts, because um, groundwork or grappling for MMA is so different than grappling for jiu-jitsu. Like, there is such a difference when the fight hits the ground between jiu-jitsu and fucking grappling for MMA. That it's like a whole nother world. It's almost like the difference between grappling in a kimono and grappling no gi. Like, there is such a big difference in MMA grappling compared to like pure jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
That's one thing I was going to tell you about. Ask you about. You were talking about gi and no gi. So I think I understand maybe why you decided to do no gi, because no gi you can use it anyway. You can use it on somebody that have clothes or somebody that has no clothes. But the gi, the wrestling with the gi now, if the guy takes the t-shirt off, then now you're fucked.
Exactly. Yeah. That and the gi. I'm not gonna even lie. The no gi grappling is way faster than gi grappling. And if you're not conditioned for gi grappling is generally slower. And older guys prefer gi more to no gi because you have more control. But it's just, bro, it's just so fucking hard on the fingers, on the fucking,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
it fucks up your neck. It fucks, like, even just no gi grappling fucks up your whole body. But like constantly being tugged and pulled, it's a whole different game. I would say gi grappling is way more technical than no gi grappling. Now,
Yeah.
some people will be like, "What the fuck?" Like, it just is. I'll give you a great example. You throw someone there on their back, you start passing their guard. It's way
Yeah.
easier, way easier to pass no gi than it is gi. Although some people say, well, you can grab the pant leg, it's easier to pass, but the bottom guy can grab your pants, he can grab the lapel, he can grab your sleeve. Now you can't pass because now you'll get swept, and now you're like, fuck, I have to peel off these grips. That fucks up to your fingers, and he attaches again, and it becomes this fucking game of constantly breaking grips, breaking. It's just a slower game compared to no gi, where even if someone grabs your wrist, you can roll the wrist, you can continue the movement. It's not such a uh it's not such a I wouldn't say static, but it's like a fucking drag the waters type of a fight. I had before I got my purple belt, we did 2-3 days of gi, and I said, fuck this shit, bro. Like, my fingers are cut up, my whole fingers, everything was bleeding. My forearms were fucking killing me. um it was like everyone's like, bro, fuck. Like, there's so much more technique with the gi. Like, you have to be defensively. It's harder with the gi than it's no gi. No gi, you have to be weary of chokes that are mostly gonna come from the back, bro. With the fucking gi, the guy from bottom can choke you out with the baseball choke, X choke, Ezekiel choke, bow and arrow choke, clock choke, fucking titty choke. Like, there is such a plethora of chokes. And he may be grabbing just this, and you're like, oh, this isn't anything threatening. All of a sudden, this goes here, this goes here. You're like this, and you're like, ah, fuck. I should have peeled that grip. I shouldn't have advanced forward. Like, it's such a uh, it's such a chess game. It's such a fucking chess game that it's like, yeah.
You know what? There's one thing that I love. It's part of what I call, like basically combative use of clothing. Like you made a video not too long ago where you were showing how to use the hoodie and
Yeah,
put the
yeah.
hoodie down, or pull the hoodie the other way so he can't see you.
Yeah, yeah.
This is stuff we've been working on and stuff for quite a while. And I think these quotes coming from BJJ,
Yeah.
I think for the street, it's lovely stuff. It's
It
lovely
is.
stuff. You can make it work with the jacket, with the guy's
Yes.
collar jacket. So everything has got a use. Like,
Yes.
everything has got a use in a certain context, in a certain environment. Chokes are great. I've worked the doors for years, and I've not that I'm, of course, maybe I'm a bit proud of it because I'm still a human being, but I've choked quite a few people on the door. And
Yeah.
this is the best thing.
Yeah,
Choking
yeah.
people is the best thing because it leaves no mark. You don't really hurt them. They pass out pretty
Yeah.
quickly as long as you release them when you feel them going down. And then when they wake up, they don't remember nothing. I always say to people, it's like in Men in Black,
Yeah, yeah.
with the flashing thing, and
Yeah.
then you erase the memory, then you can tell them whatever you want.
Yeah, yeah. No,
But
no.
when they wake
Yeah.
up, they look at you like, and I'm like, dude, I don't know what happened to you. You just started falling down, and
Yeah. No, like, and the greatest thing is, like, a smaller person can choke out a bigger person.
yeah,
A smaller person cannot really knock out a bigger person. Like, this is why we have weight classes in fucking boxing, kickboxing, and MMA. Like, I love Senchai, but there's no fucking way Senchai knocks out Francis Ngannou. You understand me?
yeah.
Like, there's no fucking way Senchai hits
Maybe with
Francis
the
and what?
maybe with the kick.
Nah,
Maybe
bro,
with
he
the
can't reach his fucking head. How will he reach his head with the kick? I'm talking punches. Like, there's no fucking way. Like, there's 1 in 100 that Senchai hits fucking. But there's like a 90% chance that Francis Ngannou touches Saenchai with his fist and Saenchai goes down. You know, like
Ngannou has got the strongest punch, I think. Like,
yes,
it's just crazy, man. You've
but
seen the
that's
size
not
of the guy.
yeah, but that's not just because of his technique. It's because he's a fucking huge ass human being. Like
Yeah.
that's why it's and chokes like I'll quote Matt Thornton on this. I think this is what Matt Thornton said. Like there's no such thing as a lucky choke or a lucky armbar. You understand me? Like there's a thing as a lucky punch or a sucker punch, where a small person can knock a bigger person out if he surprises him. But there's no such thing as a lucky choke. Like you either know how to choke or you don't know how to choke. And you know that's the thing with grappling, where if you have any sort of grappling, it could be jiu-jitsu, it can be sambo, it can be catch wrestling or grappling for MMA. You have such a high how would you say you have like a superpower compared to people that don't know how to grapple. And I have seen this multiple times when guys come to train with us. They're big, they're strong, they're from the gym, and then like our white belts fucking rape them. Like they literally rape them on the ground. They can't get up. And that feeling of not being able to get up is the worst feeling that a man could have. Because like, oh, I thought I was strong, I thought I was big, and now a fucking 60 kg motherfucker is holding me down or taking my back. And compared to striking, where you can be a good striker, I can be a worse striker than you, and just by luck I hit you on the chin and I knock you out. There's no such thing as a lucky submission. Like if I'm a better grappler and you're worse than me, there's no fucking way you're gonna defeat me. There's just no way. There's no lucky pass. There's no lucky submission. Like if we put everything on paper, I'm winning that fight. While in striking, there's always that fucking lucky strike. And we saw this. This is a great example of Francis Ngannou versus Tyson Fury. Tyson, who's a way better boxer on paper, got fucking knocked down by a guy that had his first fucking boxing match. That's his first boxing match. Like if that was a jiu-jitsu match, there is no way that Tyson Fury chokes out Francis Ngannou. Like I would bet my house
100%.
that there's no fucking way that Tyson. But
you know when you hear Tyson saying, I'll beat you anywhere, I'll come in the cage. I was like, no.
Like he would get murdered.
You're gonna get killed in the cage, in the octagon. He's gonna get killed,
bro. Like I don't know. You know who James Toney is? James Toney is like a boxer, like a old boxer from America.
Sure.
He was saying shit like in the 2008 2010 era, even earlier, bro. This is when fucking Randy Couture was fighting. He said that if he comes into MMA and with small gloves, he would not call the MMA. And he fought Randy Couture. The fight lasted like 30-40 seconds. Randy shot a single leg, got him to the cage, got him to the ground, and basically pummeled him into submission with punches from top. Like it was like me fighting a child. Like it looked like I was fighting my kid, and I just ragdolled him into the ground, climbed on top, and fucking just punched the shit out of him. That's the same shit. Like we watched McGregor versus Floyd Mayweather. And Floyd said the same shit. We'll fight in the cage, bro. Conor would kill you in the cage. Like it wouldn't even be a fight.
No,
like that's like what people don't understand. Like the more bigger skill set you have, those specialists can easily get shut down. Like I guarantee you that if a pure boxer and a pure jiu-jitsu fighter fight, you know who's gonna win. The jiu-jitsu fighter. It's simple. Jiu-jitsu fighter takes him 9 out of 10 times down. The boxer doesn't know how to fucking move on the ground, and he chokes him like a fucking like a little baby. But if they fought boxing rules, of course the fucking boxer would win.
You know that's one thing they're saying in MMA is the MMA Trinity. Is position before submission or position before striking. So you can use striking to get to position. You can use a position to get to submission. You can start to go for a submission to create a response, to go for a position, or to go for striking. But this triangle works in
Yeah,
everywhere.
yeah. No, as you have more tools at your disposal, it becomes easier in certain areas to compensate for them from different areas. So, for example, in jiu-jitsu, to get points, you have to pass someone's guard. You have to pass their legs. And if you can't punch, that becomes a big fucking problem because they can attack your legs, they can go under you, they can sweep you, they can come out your back. They can all do all of these things. Why you don't see this in MMA? Because a lot of guys will just negate, like they won't pass. They'll sit in half guard or even full guard, and then they'll start punching you. Why the grappling game in MMA has changed a lot is because people started more now using wrestling to stand back up than like fighting from their back, which is like more traditional Brazilian jiu-jitsu. And that's the sole reason why, because his people were like, no, I'm not going to pass your guard. I'm just going to punch you from this position until I either win by points or I cause enough damage that, you know, your barricade falls down and I can pass easily. Like it, ground fighting is way easier when you have strikes, but that's like with anything. Like that's me like saying like if we fought, if you're a boxer and you fought me, if I can use legs, you know, if I can kick you, like then it becomes easier for me, of course, because now I don't have to be fucking all bobbing and weaving, entering. I can teep the shit out of you. I can low kick your leg. You know, like,
That's what you see. That's what you see. I've had that example many times in my gym, where good level boxers, okay, let's just throw boxing, just a hand, boom, 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 and maybe the boxer, the guy that's more advanced with boxing, will have the upper hand. As soon as the legs are allowed, and
yeah, it's
his level goes down.
everything, bro. I have seen this. Like you start kicking the leg, their hands start dropping. They start, you know, trying to block leg shots with their arms because it's painful. Like they start doing what I call, they start doing white belt shit. It's the same shit. Like you get a boxer on the ground, I mount you, I'll slap you one time, you'll start turning your back. You start doing the thing which is instinctual for you, but is like a horrible thing in an actual fight.
That's the worst thing you can do, giving your back away.
But like you can see like Gracie in action. We've all seen the YouTube where Gracie's went to these different what
Rickson.
yeah. No, there's on YouTube. It's called Gracie in action. Basically, they dojo storm karate schools, you know, the kung fu schools, whatever. And the most common thing is like you'll see they'll go for a double leg, they'll take someone down, they'll climb into mount, and basically they'll just start slapping them because the person doesn't know how to dismount another person. They'll turn their back and they'll basically punch a choke. The original jiu-jitsu, like the Gracie jiu-jitsu, is fucking super simple, bro. It's I mean, it's simple to the eye. It's not simple to master. But it's like basically 22 or 23 techniques. Like they didn't have leg locks, they didn't have wrestling up, they didn't have a bunch of this shit because their shit was meant to negate people that don't know how to fight on the ground. And jiu-jitsu as a sport developed because a lot of people learned jiu-jitsu and they were fighting, you know, among themselves, sparring, and they're like, okay, let's not hit each other because, you know, we have work and everything. And that's when the sport of jiu-jitsu kicked, you know, started blooming, when you see all of these guards now, all of these inversions, leg locks, you know. But in reality, jiu-jitsu as the Gracies conceptualized it was super simple, bro. Hickson used super simple stuff. Hickson was never like someone that was like, you know, inverting for a heel hook or something. No, bro. He was like super simple pressure-based jiu-jitsu. Yeah.
So who created the actual Brazilian jiu-jitsu? I know it was derived from Japanese jiu-jitsu. I did a bit of that for a while.
Yeah.
But
So
who in Brazil actually took it and made it Brazilian jiu-jitsu?
So the thing is, Brazilian jiu-jitsu didn't come from Japanese jiu-jitsu. It came from judo. But at that time, judo wasn't still called judo. It was called Kano's jiu-jitsu. Yeah. But he still didn't have the name judo. It was still like you know, Jigoro jitsu or Kano's jiu-jitsu. And one of his students, he later, I think his nickname was Count Koma. I think it was Mitsuo Maeda, but I'm not sure. I think that's his name. He came to Brazil for work to live
Yeah.
because he was fighting in carnival fights. And when he came to Brazil, he met Gustav. I think his name was Gustavio Gracie. That was father of Helio Gracie, and he Gustavo managed to get him like visas paper to live in Brazil, and in turn he would teach his two sons, one of them being Helio, jiu-jitsu or judo. But this was like before judo had all of these bans. Like judo had Newaza ground fighting, but because of sport and competition, later they devolved in that area. But again, so the Gracies learned the original Jigoro Jitsu, or the original judo, and because Helio was always sick and he was smaller, he couldn't do a lot of the judo throws and judo takedowns from what Mitsuo Maeda taught them. So he had to adopt a game where it was more like, get him to the ground anywhere as possible, even with the sacrifice throw, even doing what's in judo called hikikomi. Hikikomi is basically what we now call pulling guard, where you grab someone and you pull him on top of you into your guard. And he started fighting from those positions. So very, very basic submissions like triangles, arm bars, getting to the back. But their style of jiu-jitsu had strikes because they fought a lot in Brazil and challenged other schools. They were like, yeah, we'll take the throws and submissions of judo, but we'll add slapping, we'll add kicks, because judo doesn't have kicks. The Gracie Jiu-Jitsu has a side kick to the knee, and if you watch old UFC, you will see Royce Gracie using the side kick to the knee to keep the distance.
Yeah.
Once the person starts either going backwards or forwards, then he drops and goes for a double leg. But the technique, like Gracie Jiu-Jitsu has striking, like they'll use elbows, open-handed strikes, side kicks to the knee. They all added that. Now I don't know if that some of it came from capoeira, some of it came from karate or whatever, but they added striking back to the Jigoro Kano's jiu-jitsu or judo back then. And then once they started challenging all the strikers and all the different martial arts, the Japanese sent an embassy, and Helio said, our jiu-jitsu is better than your Japanese jiu-jitsu. And then they said, oh, is it? And then
Kung Fu is better than yours.
yeah, but like the Japanese felt insulted because the word jiu-jitsu, even though it's called Brazilian jiu-jitsu, it's still a Japanese art. And then they fought two Japanese guys, I think, ranked 2 or 3 in Japan, and Helio choked one out. Like he choked him with a neck choke. And then the famous battle in the Brazilian stadium came, where Helio, you can find that fight on YouTube. It's black and white. Helio fought Kimura. Kimura was we called the Kimura lock in honor of the Japanese judoka. Kimura was one of the best judokas that ever lived. Like, he was built like an ox. He was huge, and he said to Helio, I will come to Brazil, and if I don't throw you, and if I don't knock you out from the throw, consider that you won the fight. And what happened is Kimura threw Helio all around the ring, but the Brazilians like cheated. They put tatami mats, thick tatami mats, because Kimura was known for this. He would throw people and he would knock them out just with the how much power, because there were no mats. They fought like on fucking bamboo flooring. He threw Helio a bunch of times, and then he locked in what's called Yaku de Garami, or the reverse, or the hammerlock, or the chicken wing, which now we in jiu-jitsu now call it Kimura in honor of him. And he broke Helio's arm, and Helio didn't want to tap. So you can see Kimura on top, breaks it. Helio still fighting. He pulls it up again, breaks it again. So now the not just the shoulder, now the elbow breaks, and you see the brother of Helio throwing the towel in, and because Helio didn't want to tap. And in a way, Helio proved that jiu-jitsu worked because Helio was 70 kg, Kimura was 90 kg. Kimura was built like a fucking ox.
Right.
Like he would throw tree stumps. Kimura literally means something like little tree.
Yeah.
Like because he was so fucking like he was such a he had no neck. He would wrestle bulls. Like he was such an imposing fighter. And Helio survived the fight with him. Sure, his arm broke, but he never tapped. So
Yeah.
in a way, they treated this like, and that's how basically jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, came into, came into popularity. And of course, then they challenged everyone. The first UFC came in '93. They fucked everyone up because no one knew how to ground fight. And basically, yeah, that's how Brazilian jiu-jitsu gained popularity.
Yeah. I same as you. I started with judo when I was 4 years old, and the type of judo that we did was there was a bit of ground, but there was no submission. It was just holding the person on the back. Yeah, it was throws. Yeah, like all the osotogari, all the
Yeah.
shiri, all these throws. But once we would get on the floor, it was mainly hold your opponent on his back for
Yeah.
like 2 seconds.
Yeah, 20 seconds to pin. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's to win. What's it called? Win by pin. It's similar to wrestling. Wrestling, we call it. Like
But
what's it
it's,
called? Yeah.
it wasn't until I went to the sambo, like
Yeah.
the Russian sambo, and
The Russian. Yeah.
even the Japanese jiu-jitsu. Now there was all the submissions, like ankle lock, leg lock,
Yeah.
wrist lock, even finger lock, chokes, all that stuff. So I
But no
thought,
sparring.
eh,
The problem with Japanese jiu-jitsu for the most part is there's
very
no
little.
sparring.
Yeah.
So a lot of those setups for locks and arm bars will not work on a resisting opponent because it doesn't have position. Like for a submission, you have to have a position. And
Position
it's
first.
yeah, because a lot of the Japanese style of like, breaking, at least in standing, it's not doable on a resisting opponent. Like I know they're gonna say, well, you use atemi or striking, to soften, but
Yeah.
it's just like against someone bigger, you need the ground for submission. And even though that sounds like, oh my god, that's not true, like it is true. Like you need, because an old catch wrestler said one thing. Carl Gotch was an old catch wrestler, and he said one thing: bulls get killed on the ground. When you're fighting someone that is explosive and strong, the only way you can fucking kill him is on the ground. Because when a person is on the ground, he has no explosive power. The
Yeah.
same as this is why when they kill bulls, they get them on all fours to kill them. Because if you try to kill a bull that's fucking standing, good luck with fucking that. You're not gonna get near him. This is why they, and that saying always stayed with me because he's like, okay, so like if you really want to hurt someone, you have to get the fight to the ground. And this is the premise why jiu-jitsu, Brazilian jiu-jitsu is based. Like you need to get an opponent to the ground because you kill their knockout ability. When you're standing, you can knock me out. You can't really knock me out when you're on your back. It's super, like you don't have the same kinetic energy that you have when you're standing.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So, when you look at all the wrestling art, what I like is I'm like you. I like to do a bit of everything because jiu-jitsu is really the ground game. The ground game. Okay, yes, there's some takedowns, but it's a lot. The major aspect of it is ground game. But if you have a look at things like sambo, for example, it was already a very early version of MMA, like a
Yeah, combat
kickboxer.
sambo. Yeah.
And from there, then throwing, and then from there, there's all the ground game is big in sambo as well. But there is a lot of it's a lot of starting from standing from a kickboxing stance.
Yeah. There's kicks, punches, headbutts. Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
headbutts too.
Yeah.
Um, and then you have things like wrestling, like a Greco-Roman wrestling, which is everything about takedowns more, yeah?
Yeah. But now, to be fair, now the things have changed in jiu-jitsu. For example, I'll give you a great example. At our school, we do over 35 minutes of pure stand-up wrestling.
Yeah.
Like no one in jiu-jitsu fight. Like look at like now, jiu-jitsu isn't Brazilian anymore. Jiu-jitsu is American now. Like what we call guys like Gordon Ryan, Nicky Rod, all of them, bro, they all know how to wrestle. This era of jujitsu being like, I fight from my back. No one fights from their back. Everyone will wrestle up, get into a top dominant position, and then submit you. Jiu-jitsu has now become way different than when people think of Brazilian jiu-jitsu. Now, bro, almost no one wants to fucking play bottom. They'll all wrestle to get top position, hold you down, take your back, or like there was a whole thing, 7 years ago where leg locking became popular, so everyone would sit and invert under your legs. But now that everyone learned how to defend their legs, bro, now everyone's wrestling. Everyone, check out the Daisy Fresh crew from Illinois, bro. They have in their jiu-jitsu ranks, they have like five fucking NCAA wrestlers. They're headed by Michael Pixley, who's a fucking state champ and shit like that. So you see a new growth of jiu-jitsu of these Americans that come from a heavy wrestling base and now learn submissions. So jiu-jitsu has now went into a whole different thing compared to the the mean jiu-jitsu when everyone makes fun of you pull guard. Bro, you're not gonna find guard pullers anymore. Everyone fucking wrestles. Everyone does judo now. If you're fighting jiu-jitsu in the gi, everyone's now doing judo.
It's all becoming like freestyle wrestling.
Yes, because now I would say grappling has become an art on itself. It's like what we are doing now, all of us that are doing no-gi jiu-jitsu, we're doing no-gi grappling, bro, because we're learning wrestling, but we cannot use freestyle wrestling because you get guillotine. We can't shoot double legs how wrestlers shoot them because they're guillotines. We can't do certain positions like judokas because you'll get choked out. So now there's this emergence of a new art, which is pure grappling, which everything is allowed. You can attack the legs. Like in judo, there's no leg locks. In jiu-jitsu, in kimono jiu-jitsu, there's also no leg locks. No one does a leg lock. It's considered dirty, blah, blah, blah. But in grappling, everything's allowed. So now we have like, it's almost like MMA, but without striking, and we take from all of these different grappling arts. We'll do takedowns from sambo, takedowns from judo, takedown, whatever we can fit in the mind frame where it fits us, so that we, like, for example, we can't use a lot of judo throws because you expose your back in judo. But so it's super dangerous. If I go to throw uchimata, harai, goshi, any type of throws, and I fuck up and you counter me, bro, you're on my back. I'm getting choked. So I have to learn. I have to use more ashiwaza, more foot sweeps, more stuff from there. I can't be exposing my back so much. We take wrestling. I cannot shoot with my head on the outside of the opponent because you'll get guillotine. So all of my single legs, my double legs, I have to have my head on the inside. Otherwise, if you manage to sprawl me, I'm getting guillotine, bro. A lot of hand fighting is different. So it's like grappling has become an art on itself. And I think learning to grapple for self-defense, it's one of the keys. So not just learning Greco-Roman or judo, like learn the art of grappling. Like, not exposing your back, not shooting and, exposing your neck and shit like that. So,
no, that's all really cool stuff, man. And when you think about, you were the one talking about stuff like that in the old days, like in the days of Sparta and freaking Athens and all this, these guys were all wrestlers. They were all very good wrestlers.
Yeah, because what you're saying, like, and this is why when we get into the conversation of combatives, like, if you could pick one art to learn to incorporate into a combative mindset, I would always say stand-up grappling, some sort of stand-up wrestling. Doesn't matter if it's Greco-Roman, if it's sambo, because you can always run when someone's not holding you. The problem is when someone puts their hands on you, then striking isn't always an option, because you can get thrown. And if you've never been thrown or manhandled by someone that knows how to grapple, you're gonna be in a world of, like, it's gonna be eye-opening for you. You're gonna be like, holy fuck.
Being slammed,
the wind
knocked out.
and just control, bro. Like,
Yeah.
like that feeling when you can't fucking move or whatever you do, you just find yourself in a tighter and tighter box. It's like it's a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
We as humans are natural grapplers. Like we are natural. This is meant for grabbing things. It's not meant for punching. And you know, once you learn grappling, you can make grappling dirty, bro. Like I always post like, how would you get up from this? And people like, I would just gouge the eyes. I would bite their face off. And I'm like, my man, I can do the same thing, but from a better position.
Yeah.
Like I ask people, how would you get up if I'm holding you in close guard? And they're like, I would scratch your eyes. Okay, the moment you touch my eye, I'm gonna fucking break your face with punches.
Yeah.
Because you escalated the violence. Maybe I was just holding you down, but now you went for my fucking eye, and now I'm gonna fucking make you pay for that. So dirty fighting is it's a bag of tricks. You need to learn how to fight, and then you can make it dirty. Because I can hold you in close guard and headbutt the shit out of you.
Yeah.
Like I don't need to fucking practice that. I know that I can do that. You understand me? But if you don't know how to move, if you don't know good biomechanics, bro, it's the same thing. Like if you say open palm strike someone, and people start hitting just with their arm, and you're like, no, you have to put your body weight behind it. And then you go and show an open palm strike to a boxer, and he will know the mechanics of throwing his whole body weight. He's just learning, oh, okay, so I have to do it. Okay, I have to practice. But the biomechanics are already there.
Same drill, different drill bit.
Yes, compared to just, relying on dirty tricks, my man. This is why, like, I have a huge issue. I know it's popular in combatives. I hate when people teach hammer strikes standing. Like, to me, I'm like, why are you? Hammer strikes are for ground fighting. When you're on top of someone and you can deliver power, same as a fucking knife. Like if we're standing both opposite, you hitting me with this, it's not gonna do a lot, my man. Like if you don't know how to fight, then it will do something. But like I would rather choose direct. Like, bro, if you can throw a hammer strike, throw a fucking elbow. Why would you throw a fucking headbutt them? Hold them.
I think when it comes to the hammer fist, there is a time and a place for it. But definitely from a stand-up, it makes no sense to throw the hammer because you end up hitting the top of the head, breaking your little knuckle and stuff. It's good when the head is down already and you have the back of the head.
Yeah, for sure. But I've seen a bunch of people teach like you grab and then you hit like with this. But bro, you have to understand, if you can hammer fist someone, you're in striking distance. You hit me with a hammer fist, I hit you with the cross. Like, and if I want to be super close in a clinch, I'll use elbows. Why would I fucking hit from this position? I understand if you have a knife or a pencil, then this type of movement, I get that. But just hitting with this, to me, it's like, why are we trying to reinvent the wheel, bro? Like, why are we trying to make something new just to divide the sport aspect from like the street aspect? Like, bro, if you want to learn how to fucking elbow someone, Muay Thai is a really, really fucking good art.
Best way to learn how to elbow people.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. Like, why would you say, the elbow for the street is different? It's not, bro. It's the fucking same thing. The difference is the Muay Thai fighter is going to throw a way fucking better elbow.
From a position. It's the same thing like grappling in Thai boxing. You need to know exactly what position to throw the elbow from. Because if you're in a good position, you're not going to
miss. You go forward. I know. It's as any fucking combat sport, timing is everything. If you don't have good timing, positioning and timing is everything. Like you can, like even if you don't have power, if you have precision and timing, you can fucking knock someone out.
That's one conversation I wanted to have with you as well regarding combatives and the fact that people are labeling and giving names to certain things, and that makes us see things, art, methods, and systems through a lens. So look, back in the days, Krav Maga, when it was coming from Israel, it was pretty good. Then it went in Europe and it's been watered down by so many people that claim to be instructors that taught Krav Maga without fully understanding it. And the name Krav Maga went down. Now, when people think about Krav Maga, I'm like, I'm not interested. The same thing now is happening to combatives. You know,
Yeah.
there's some very good people to train with, and then there's a lot of stuff that I don't even want to talk about.
Yeah.
But look at, for example, the origin of combatives. So what's been taught to soldiers? So in France, for example, the French Foreign Legion, we have something called four.
Yeah, I know.
Have
I
a
have
look.
a French in the. I have a friend that's I think he's a sergeant in
Yeah.
the foreign, like he's Croatian
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
in the
there's
foreign
lots of-
legion. Yeah,
there's
yeah,
lots of Eastern
yeah. So
European,
yeah,
and so the C4, when you have a look at what these guys are doing, it's what I was gonna say. It's a solid trinity, solid striking background. These guys box, they do boxing and they
Yeah.
spar boxing, Thai boxing.
yeah,
They all grapple. They have solid wrestling background,
yeah,
and then they add the weapons to it.
yeah,
You know, and when they do the stress test, they have everything. They have the big jacket, the big
yeah,
the rifle, everything. It makes it very difficult for them to move. So the combatives, the way that it was meant to be and the way that it was meant to be taught, it's very, very condensed. It's a condensed version of everything. It's principle based. Uh, that's why you need to box, you need to grapple,
yeah,
and
yeah.
you need,
Yes,
you need to
but
do weapons, and
yeah,
then you
but
can
it's
train combatives.
but
But
to
you
get
don't.
on that point, so this is what a
Yeah.
lot of people fucking forget. Military systems that are made for soldiers, they have a very limited use of empty-handed techniques. So
Yeah.
it's not going to translate well to civilian life. I'll give you a great example. This is how they sell Krav Maga. Now, I have friends that run Krav Maga school, so this is nothing against them. I'm just saying this is the history of it and how they sell it. Krav Maga, used by the military. First of all, any soldier, if I have you for 3 months of or a year of training, I'll have you for 3 months of training before you can, go
Yeah,
in the
the
streets,
basic
patrol
training,
and
yeah.
shit. You think I'm gonna spend 3 months teaching you how to fucking punch and kick? No, I'm going to teach you how to transition from weapons, pistol to rifle,
Yeah.
knife if we have time. But you
Mm.
have your primary and your secondary weapon. Why would I teach you how to fucking escape a rear naked choke? Like, this doesn't make any fucking sense. So when they market it as it was designed for the military, okay, why are you learning how to shoot? Are you learning to transition from weapons? Are you learning how to clear a room? Are you learning how to control a mob? Is that what you're teaching? Oh no, we're teaching how to. Then don't give me this fucking. If something is meant for the military, it doesn't mean that it's good, bro. Like I have taught military. I have taught knife combatives to certain branches, like let's say in the military. Even the guys that are doing my friend that's in the legionary, I gave him the knife work course that I teach, and I told him a lot of this won't be applicable to you. This is meant for civilian use. If
Yeah.
you're fencing someone with a fucking knife, you have fucked up way before you drew that
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
knife.
For sure.
So he said, what would you do? I said, I would have to devise a different type of curriculum. How would you do it? I have to see, okay, my knife is here. So now even I don't need to hide the knife. So that changes the whole fucking thing. I don't need to lift garments. I don't need to have
Concealment.
so how will we get to our knife? Let's put a situation. When would you do that? So your weapon is blocked. You're in a grappling situation when your gun is pinned. Okay, my gun is pinned. Now I draw a knife and stab. So
Yeah.
your knife work will be completely fucking different than to mine as a civilian that can have a fucking standoff with a junkie where I'll be in my gun and like step the fuck back, motherfucker. It's a whole fucking different. So when they say like combatives, like you have to understand, a lot of military shit isn't not just military, a lot of police stuff, bro, isn't transferable to civilian life. I always say, like, jiu-jitsu wise, I am way more free than a fucking police officer if I get into a confrontation. Because I can get into full mouth and I can fucking bash the shit out of your fucking skull. A police officer cannot do that. He needs to restrain you. So his fucking tactics have to be way different than my street jiu-jitsu tactics.
Rules of
Like,
engagement.
yeah, my rules of engagement is like, I can get into mount, I can be nice and just pressure you into submission, or I can be mean, grab your head and slam it against the concrete. Either way, it's going to be more or less self-defense. You as a police officer absolutely cannot do that. So you have to restrain someone. Yeah. So like, it's a whole different fucking shit. And this is why I get crazy when combative guys are like, oh, this came from fucking military. Like, bro, the same rules don't apply. You have to understand that most people are fat, fucking overweight, obese motherfuckers. Bro, get your fitness in check. Get your fucking health in check. You're more likely to die from a fucking heart attack, you fat fucking fuck, than from any type of knife attack. So do fucking combat sports that will burn that fucking fat. Do Muay Thai, do boxing, do jiu-jitsu, do judo. Whatever the fuck, I guarantee you, sports will get you into shape. And then fucking start delving into the combative aspect. How I can make my art more suited for actual. Learn about awareness, learn about de-escalation, learn about fucking prevention. These are all valuable things. In my thought, I think that that's what combatives is. It's more of a mental cerebral skill set than it is of actual fighting. I think you definitely need a combat sport as a base, because unless you've gotten punched in the ring or in sparring, you will never, you get punched in boxing and that will translate to the street. How will it get translated? Once I got hit, my man, you're used to getting punched. You're not gonna flinch. You're not gonna start doing all of these things which untrained people do when they get punched. So yeah, that's my opinion. Like, combatives, it's great as a auxiliary skill set. But most of your fucking fighting, even if you put scenario training, should be backed up by a high level of combat sports. Doesn't matter which. Muay Thai, boxing.
That's exactly what I think, man. It's like, if we think about in terms of baking a cake, the main three ingredients is a solid striking background, solid wrestling background, and solid weaponry background. And then what we call combatives is like an operating system of what do we use out of this solid striking background? What do we use out of this solid wrestling background? What do we use weaponry background to make it suit the battlefield?
Yes, I made a video about this, saying I was explaining what was something I was showing a body lock takedown. I posted it to the group. In a street fight, I would always go for a body lock because I control the arms and the waistline. Why? Because that's like a combative mindset. Why? Because I know that's where the weapons are. This is why I would prefer a body lock takedown compared to, let's say, a wrestling snap down, a front headlock. Why? Because I'm not controlling your arms in that situation. And while I'm trying to take you down with, let's say, like a pure wrestling takedown where I'm controlling the head instead of the arms, now I can be getting stabbed while I'm doing that. So you see, I use both sports techniques, which is, one is a body lock, the other is a front headlock. But in a combative sense, the body lock is way more suited for street fighting than the front headlock is. Even though they're both valid techniques, they're both valid takedowns. For a street fight, I would never shoot a double leg or a single leg. This is what I do in the gym against. Why? Because the ground is hard. I'm lowering my head. Maybe you have something in your arms, and so all of these things, that's the combative filter. So I pass the technique to a combative filter. It's like my friend used to say, my black belt says, like, people think that we pull guard. He says, you know what I'm going to do to you? I'm going to throw you down. I'm going to put my knee on your face and I'm going to bash your head in. That's my jiu-jitsu. I will pressure pass the shit out of you and just smash you from top. If you think like, because guys think, these jiu-jitsu cunts, they just pull guard, they sit on their ass. It's not true. I can beat the hammer. It's like we put ourselves in these nail positions so that we get better at escaping. And people judge us, because our jiu-jitsu is gay, jiu-jitsu is just a sport. It's not, bro. Like jiu-jitsu came, Brazilian jiu-jitsu, doesn't matter, even judo, it came from an actual fucking samurai art where samurais would throw people because they figured out, like, if I want to kill someone in armor, it's easier if I throw them, I draw my short blade, and then I stab you. From neon belly, from fucking mount, from these top positions. They developed fighting from their back as a necessity. You get knocked down. Okay, how do I get back up? How do I, create distance? This is where jiu-jitsu came from. It didn't came from fucking, guys pulling guard in competitions.
Yeah. It all comes from the battlefield.
Yeah, but the problem is now there's a separation. Same thing as in combatives. There's a separation in jiu-jitsu. You'll see these guys. I train in Japanese jiu-jitsu. That usually means you don't spar. I'm sorry, but that usually means you only do kata, you only do drills in your cool little clean white gi, and you do overly complicated moves, finger locks, blah blah blah, which is like, bro, that's not reality. Like, that's not the. But if you attacks me with a sword, but we're talking reality now. No one's gonna attack you with a sword. We have to, our jiu-jitsu needs to evolve. You're gonna meet boxing punches. You're not gonna be meeting someone attacking you like this. That era has passed. Like, if and because of the internet, everything, bro, you need to fucking understand that even a fucking a street thug will know how to not technically correct throw a 1 and a 2. So that's the shit you should be fucking preparing. Not he throws a backhand, I block, I move in. He attacks me with rich hand. That's not fucking. That's not. Our battlefield has changed. And same for the combatives. You're not fighting in the fucking streets of Israel or fucking Palestine. You understand me? You're not carrying a long rifle and a exposed fucking sidearm and a knife. You're wearing this. You're fucking concealed. All of these tactics, all of that fucking changes shit.
Of course.
And like the problem is, a lot of people either stick to tradition or they go the other route, which you said, which is overly combative. Mindset is good, but mindset doesn't bridge the gap between sloppy fucking technique.
You want both. You want to find the bridge. You want to find the right balance and equilibrium between all these attributes.
Yes, but also, Julien, you have to understand the people that are teaching this shit, and they're all fucking steroid junkies that are huge, and that they're telling you like, oh, you need to have a fucking mindset. Good luck, fucking. The problem is, once you hit someone and they don't go down, what then, bro? What then? I've seen hundreds of demonstrations where people role play this scenario. I hit you, you fall down, I continue hitting you. Bah, 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 bah. Violence is a one-sided affair. It's not, bro. It's not. It's not. At least I fucking then live in somewhere else, because all the violence I was exposed to, it was always fucking reciprocated back.
Force on force.
Yes. Yeah, I've hit someone. They hit me back. I hit them again. I take them down. I get hit. I get taken. It was always a fucking exchange of violence. And the guy that could take more damage was better at fucking violence, stronger at hitting, usually fucking won. It was never, I would never had a case where I was like, rah, 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 and someone fucking went down. Never, bro. Like, that never fucking happened. I fought it when I was a young kid. I was a retard. We trained all of the guys that trained kickboxing. We would go out, we would fucking pick fights and everything. Unless you sucker punch someone, so you're not aware of me, I tried you and I hit you. I have never seen violence where it fucking ended, where one guy explodes, the other fucking just crumbles. So maybe I live in a fucking magical place, but that is not like, I have always taken some sort of damage in a street fight. That's what I'm saying. I have always taken either fucked up fists, scraped, whatever the case may be, kicked. I've always had some sort of bruise. It was never a one-sided affair. It was never a fucking one-sided affair.
Yeah, that's what we're talking about here is basically the blitzkrieg, the concept of the blitzkrieg, and this is more of a military term that relates to the firearm.
Yeah.
Where, let's say, I'm even gonna speak an even older example. Thousands of years ago, You had the army going in the cliff at the bottom of the cliff, and on the top of the cliff was another army. The one below didn't know about the one above, and the one above threw the stones on them.
Yeah.
Keep throwing the stones until everyone is dead, and then they go. That's blitzkrieg, one-sided. One-sided is called my turn, my turn, my turn, my turn, and until it's done. So I think that in some ways it's a valid principle that, like you said, if you ambush or if you preempt, if you go from preemption where you hit the guy first and you manage to have some sort of effect, and even if you don't knock him out the first time, you kind of employ the
Yeah,
initiation to continue.
I
But if
understand that from a tactical point. I
yeah,
understand that from a tactical point, but I'll give you one. I'll give you a great example of that, especially people that have not seen violence, that are teaching this to
oh
defend
yeah,
themselves. They're not going to preempt shit, bro.
no,
Unless you've
my,
attacked another human being. Go to do a kickboxing match.
mm,
And fucking when you slap gloves, you just fucking preempt him and see how that fucking happens. It's not gonna happen like how people like, yes, you'll punch him first, you sucker punch him, he'll come to his senses, he start punching back. The problem is, I agree that I understand the preemptive striking. And if
mm,
you're someone that knocked people out, if you fought in the ring, if you
yeah,
know what it means to get knocked and but I understand that. But if you're teaching this concept to people that have never fucking fought, when the adrenaline dumbs them, if you think
yeah,
they're gonna go gross motor and hit someone, mentally they're not gonna, because they why? Because they've never tried to injure someone in a sportive
mm,
context, bro. Like, it's one thing to role play it. It's another thing when shit hits the fan. And the best thing, as we said it, step into the ring, put that mouth guard. When that fucking adrenaline kicks you, when you get punched, when you're punching back and the guy's not going down, bro. It's not like in the movies. He's trying to fucking
yeah,
knock your head out. And then you see like, oh, we're not made of glass. We're not made of
oh yeah,
sugar.
mm,
People are very fucking resilient.
mm,
Very fucking resilient. They don't go down as easily as, Jason Bourne's shows it in the fucking movies. So
mm,
mentally, if you've never fought someone that was really trying to injure you, if you think that you can conjure that in a adrenaline dump, uh, in a street situation, this I just don't think, like, this is why I like grappling, because when you grab a hold of someone, there's that moment of like when you feel their energy. You don't
mm,
have that in striking. Like when you grab underhook, bam, you grab
mm,
them and you feel like, this man's a bitch.
mm,
Like I can easily move him. Striking wise, I just had so much misses with it. Like I've hit people first, and I just like I hit them, they turn their head in shock and they swing, and then it's
mm.
a fucking fight. And this is why, like, based on my experience, I'm like, preemptiveness is good, but if you think you can summon that beast and you never try to injure someone, in a sportive context,
Yeah, yeah. You
brother,
will
good
never
luck.
know how. So, what do you think about? There is always this argument about can you be a good instructor if you didn't have real life experience? And I mean, you look from my side of things. I was looking for this. I went to work because, especially for this. I went to step on the ring, especially for this, so I could know how it feels like to be adrenalized, know if I can actually look after myself. Do you think that it's possible for certain people that have never been maybe they've been in a fight when they were young, but they've not been in a fight for the last 30 years, and they're teaching karate or they're teaching whatever, Wing Chun or this or that? I think, from my point of view, maybe you will agree, maybe not. I think that real life experience is a must. You want to be able to convey the message. You want to be able to teach something that's really going to be
For
applicable.
sure, I agree with you. Like the mental part of it, I think it's the mental part of of street violence is one thing, turning it on, going, but but I also think if you want to teach it to people in a safe way, and I'm talking about like Westerners. I'm not talking about fucking teaching Mexicans that get fucking stabbed. I'll teach you. No, no, I'm talking like Europeans, bro. Do combat sports. do a competition, do a veteran. Like Tommy Joe Moore is a great example of that. The
I
man
like
steps
Tommy.
in, yeah, man steps into the fucking ring, beats the shit out of another human being. That's combative enough for me. If I wanted to, like, and that's how I look at instructors. Oh, this guy's coming to teach a seminar in jiu-jitsu. Okay, I'll go and look on YouTube. This man's a fucking killer. He moves, he submits people. I see him spar. That's brutal. Same shit for Tommy. Like, Tommy's teaching World War Combatives, blah, blah, blah. But bro, I saw fucking Tommy knock the shit out of, so I'm like, this man knows violence. Is it regulated violence? It is, but it's still fucking violence. It's not the other guy's not falling because Tommy's role playing. Tommy actually fucking knocked him out. It's the same with anything. I look at if people challenge themselves. Like, how would you teach me about defending chokes when you're not getting choked on a regular basis? Like, you can't, bro. Like, you can't teach me because you haven't. I've passed out multiple times in training from trying to escape chokes, so I can tell you firsthand what it fucking feels like and what should you be defending and shit like that. It like, you have to immerse yourself. You have to fucking expose yourself. It's not the same shit. I'll just detour a little bit because my phone will fucking die out. But it's the thing is the same thing with Boss. When me and Slaven came with Boss, we looked at techniques that we could do against a fully resisting opponent, and what came out was that. It wasn't like, we'll try to make it more dirty. No, bro, because we looked at the most high percentage positions and techniques that actual people that fight and grapple and end up in, and those are these positions. And then by pure fucking luck, we started looking at manuscripts from European masters from 14th, 15th century. We saw Bulo scrolls, and you see fucking Russian ties. You see Silvel positions. You see Kimuras. You see fucking, and you're like, bro, we're basically rediscovering what these people did, and they did it in a way by testing it.
Yeah.
I truly believe that they did, because if you didn't test this shit, and if the only fucking test came from actual violence and you died from it, there wouldn't be no lineage of your technique. And like, I looked at it, I'm like, Europeans fucking grappled since the dawn of time. The Greeks, the Egyptians. That's why I get pissed. Like, you never want to grapple against the knife. Your fucking ancestors did. All Spartan men fucking learned pancreation. You see fucking pictures of guys holding kimuras on fucking on hoplite soldiers disarming the fucking sword. Don't give me that fucking shit. Like, if a person can grab you, wrestling would work. It doesn't matter if it's a fucking battlefield, if it's a flat in fucking Manchester City, or if you're in a Lumpini Stadium. Like,
I feel that the old school stuff, like the history, like the Hima, for example.
Yes,
it's great stuff. I think it's great stuff. And when we speak about Hima, a lot of people think it's only the weapon. You actually have your hand.
Yes.
And this is very, very close to combatives. I think this is one of the most realistic form of fighting out there, because it's been pressure tested on the field, on the battlefields for thousands of years, man.
Yeah.
So that stuff is legit, big time.
Julien, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but my phone is going to die in
okay,
maybe 40 seconds.
All right. What do you want to do?
Yeah, you can close it up. It's an hour and 40. I know we didn't talk about anything we said we were going to talk about, but it was more funner this way, like having a regular chat than fucking being scripted.
Let's do it again soon if you want. We can talk about the stuff we were going to do. So if you want, next week or in a couple of weeks, we can do it again.
Sure. Deal.
No problems. Well, man, thank you for your time, Marko. Great to talk to you, man.
You too, man.
I'll see you very soon.
Ciao.
Ciao.